Hello everybody. I got an idea to do a video from Scott Waters. He did a story about when he met Motley Hatchet a few years back, and how he got their autographs and what the story of how that worked out. So I had a few of my own I thought were kind of interesting that I decided I wanted to share. I'll start with the older one first. This one goes all the way back to 1984. Now, at that point I was a senior in high school, but Steve Smith, the drummer for Journey at the time, also had a jazz group called Vital Information. At that time, it was after Journey was done touring for Frontiers, so he was working with them and playing smaller venues and clubs and what have you, and he happened to be in Rochester playing, I think it was called the Casablanca. We ended up getting tickets for it, and at our local big record store at the time, which was the House of Guitars, which I believe is still there, they used to have artist signings, which I remember seeing Asia and a few other people there and getting autographs. Anyway, so Steve Smith and his current group, Vital Information, were there for signing, and so my brother and I, being far ahead the average music person, we weren't going to bring Journey records because that's what everybody else was going to do. So my brother's 4 years younger than me, but he brought Jean-Luc Ponty's Enigmatic Ocean, which Steve Smith plays drums on. I, on the other hand, brought this. This is Focus's last album before they initially broke up. This came out in '78. Steve Smith actually plays drums on this album. If you don't know Focus, Focus is the group that did the silly Hocus Pocus song with the yodeling in it. Anyway, so it's the last version of the same group. So anyway, so we're going to be cool and bring different stuff. So we get there, and the line's way out the door. We get there, everybody's got Journey records. Yeah, obviously, whatever. We're going to be different, and they're going to see these and go, ooh, ah. Anyway, we finally get up there. And my brother goes first, shows Enigmatic Ocean. He makes a few comments about it, and he's like, he's impressed and all that. I walk up with this, and he's like, where the heck did you find that? I didn't know anybody even had that album, blah, blah, blah. And he's making a big thing about the fact that I'm even showing this and bringing it up, and that I knew he was even on here. The interesting thing was after that, he goes, oh, wait, hold on a second. There's somebody else on this album that's playing with me, but he wasn't sitting at the table. So out of a back room on the side from where they were sitting comes this guy, all grungy looking, with a leather coat on. Almost looked like a homeless guy. He walks up to my record, and he takes the marker and just scribbles a bunch of something. And everybody looks at it and they're like laughing because it's so sloppy and like he didn't care kind of thing. And then he went off and hid in the back again. Anyway, apparently this guitar player, Philip Catherine, who also plays on here, was playing with Steve Smith's band as well. So, just to show you, that's his slop right there that he drew. I don't know what that says either. And then on the bottom, which you can't see too well unfortunately because he wrote it in like red and it faded, is, if you can see the red a little bit, you can't see Steve Smith's name, but it's on there if you look at the cover. So anyway, so that's my first story. Now fast forward to 1993. My brother is doing some mixing and engineering and stuff, so there's a few clubs in town where he's doing mixing for. Well, this one club, for some reason, now this is 1993, the Tubes happen to be playing at this club. And it's a small club, which is pretty funny, because it's the Tubes. And if you know the Tubes, especially in the day, they had all this stuff that wouldn't fit on anywhere near the stage as small as they were playing on. So anyway, I got to go with them to that, saw the show, and on this tiny little dinky stage of which the ceiling above where they were standing was maybe about this far away from their heads. Barely fit on the stage. Now at this point, you got to mind you, there's only 5 of them at this point. They still barely fit on the stage. But 4 out of 5 of them were actually from the original band, including Fee Waybill, Roger Steen, one of the 2 guitar players, Pariah Prince, the original drummer, and Rick Anderson, the original bass player. And then this other guy who played guitar and keyboards and sang. So anyway, being they were so condensed, it was pretty funny because at the time they had a DAT machine with all the oddball stuff that they couldn't reproduce because they didn't have the extra keyboard player and extra guitar player and all the extra people behind the scenes. They had all this extra stuff on a DAT. And he didn't hide it one bit. He would actually make comments, and then at one point he was having problems with it. He was like picking on it and what have you. You know, sucks they have to use this stupid thing. So anyway, it was pretty funny. And the other thing about the show too is you could tell he was frustrated trying to jump around and stuff, how low the ceiling was, as he was going to hit his head. So anyway, the show was, I mean, musically it was great. So anyway, because my brother got to run the sound and everything, apparently he knew the guy that set them up for the show and everything, so we got to go meet him. So that was cool. So we got to sit with the 5 guys backstage, and so we kind of knew what was happening, so we each brought something. I brought a Tubes album, one of the older ones, so not as to bring like one of the newer ones with the hits on it and what have you.
Wait, get there.
My brother brings the Xanadu soundtrack. And if you've ever seen the Xanadu movie with Olivia Newton-John, you'll know that there's a scene in there with a rock band and a jazz group. And it kind of goes back and forth between the two in this one song. They're the rock group in it. There's actually a picture in the inside of the cover of them. It's pretty funny. So he brings that, which I thought was hilarious. But I brought the Tubes album, and Young and Rich, which is their second one. And here's signatures. Let me see. We'll start here. That's Roger Steen, the guitar player. Here's Fee Waybill. Down here, you can't see too well because he wrote over the stuff. That's Rick Anderson. And then there's Prairie Prince, which you can read that one. And you can see it's 93. So that's my 2 most interesting autograph stories. I have other ones that nothing interesting happened at, but I was kind of compelled to do that since Scott did his. So we'll see what you think. Take care.